Well, for many of us, emails are now an essential part of our lives, or you can use different descriptions than essential, I think. They're quick and easy, but also can be misunderstood, unintentionally offend someone, and be a pain in the posterior.
Just to be precise. So all of the do's and don'ts, let's ask computer productivity expert Donna Hanson. Donna, good morning to you.
Good morning to you.
Now, obviously, Koshi's not a fan of emails because he gets a lot every day, but tell us some of the do's and don'ts then. What should you always include in your email?
Well, David and Mel, one of the things you should absolutely include in your emails is action items. Too often we get email messages that just seem to roll on and on and on, and then before you know it, you've gotten to the end and you've got no idea what you're expected to do. So it's important to tell people what you expect and when you need it by.
OK, what are the definite no-nos, though?
The definite no-nos are getting, if you'll pardon the expression, verbal diarrhoea, where you just sort of say exactly what you're thinking, and it just tends to be a very long-winded email with really no purpose.
Oh, we don't like those, definitely. No. The other thing that's really important, isn't it, the tone? Because often you can tap something out really quickly and send it, but it doesn't always sort of, I guess it's not read the way you intended it to sound, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. We can often be reactive rather than proactive with our email, and what we really need to think about is if that tone, if you're concerned about how somebody's going to take that, you probably really should think about whether email is the most appropriate way to respond at all. So perhaps it's worthwhile picking up the phone, having a chat, or arranging a face-to-face meeting rather than avoiding any or having any conflict as a result of someone misinterpreting your email.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And I've found from experience, never use capitals. Apparently that's like shouting, is it?
That's exactly right. You're up with it, David. Capitals are very much the equivalent of shouting. Some alternatives that you could consider that would achieve similar things are by putting in a person's name, so typing in their name and perhaps underlining it or turning the text into italic. And the benefit of
what does that say when you put it in italic? Does that mean I like you, or...?
No, it really doesn't have any strict definition. Not that the capital letters is a strict definition, but it's sort of an unwritten etiquette. But the underlining and the italics can be really useful in identifying people's names, especially if you've got multiple recipients. It enables you to sort of say, well, look, David, this is what I need you to do. Melissa, this is what I need you to do. So it just makes it clear, so everybody knows what they're supposed to do.
Fantastic. We've got a list of etiquette tips. So some of them you've said, be concise, consider phoning instead, don't use capitals, use subject lines as a summary and don't overuse high priority. The subject line, how important is that? And can you even just put your message in that?
Well, you could definitely do that, and I sometimes do that when I'm just responding with maybe a thanks. Sometimes somebody sends you something and we all feel this compulsion that we have to respond to our emails, but it seems a little silly just to send an email back saying thanks. So sometimes I'll just put a thanks in the subject area, and I might put in the letters such as EOM, end of message. But it's all about having to educate each other on, you know, what are and aren't acceptable terms.
What if you put it in italics? Does that mean, gee, big thanks?
I think you'll find from memory, David, I don't think italics work in the subject area. They only work in the main body of your message.
That's right.
Two quick questions. Do you always have to put their name and yours at the end if you're having a bit of a conversation? Do you have to keep saying, hi, Koshi, and all that kind of jazz, or can I just reply?
Look, this is very much a personal thing. A lot of organisations will have their own expectations. You know, you must have your email signature at the bottom that says David Kosh, you know, head guru at Channel 7, those sort of things.
Oh, no, I don't write that too.
But what you can do is, if you get to know people, I'll often sign off an email with just my initial, the letter D. But certainly it's not something I do with somebody I don't know very well. I would have built up that relationship and rapport first.
All right, Donna, and really, really quickly, sorry, one last one. How do you write nicely to people that forward you all those funny things that they've forwarded to 40,000 people that they've received 400 times, and you get those? How do you really nicely write back to someone and say, please don't send me that stuff?
That's a very good question. I can give you an off-the-record answer when we get off air, but certainly, you know, just talk to your friends about the fact that, you know, you're very busy at work and, you know, you'd rather if they didn't send you, you know, those joke emails. Your other alternative is you could set up some rules so that they automatically go to an area where you could read them later on.
Oh, that's a good idea, I like that.
Or classify them as junk mail.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Or just press delete when they come through.
Just make sure you don't tell your friends you've classified them junk mail.
Good point.
Donna, thank you for that.
Thanks.
Thank you.
You can find more information about email etiquette on the Sunrise website.
There you go, some really good tips. It's one of those things that's sort of just growing and growing and we don't necessarily know how to do it nicely.